It was a quiet morning on the ranch, the kind where the sun stretches its golden fingers across the fields and the cows amble lazily, chewing cud and enjoying the peace. I was walking down the dirt lane toward the barn, my boots crunching on gravel, when I saw it. A bright red Porsche sitting smack in the middle of my farm driveway. Karen, of course, had parked it there. Again, she had a habit of asserting authority over anything that belonged to someone outside her HOA. This wasn't the first time she'd encroached on private property, but this particular stunt was audacious, even for her. A sports car in the middle of my operational driveway, completely in the way of my tractors, feed deliveries, and, most importantly, the cattle. I sighed, shaking my head. Grandpa, leaning against the fence with his ever-present coffee, grinned. Son, looks like Karen forgot one small detail. This is my farm. I called her phone once, twice, and then left a polite message. Karen, your vehicle is on private property. Please remove it immediately. Of course, she didn't answer. She was probably taking selfies with her defiant Porsche, imagining herself a heroine in her own HOA saga. By 9 a.m., the situation had become urgent. A truck carrying hay bales arrived for the livestock, but the driver had nowhere to maneuver because of the red sports car blocking the lane. The cows, sensing the commotion, had begun milling around nervously. This was about to escalate into chaos if Karen didn't move the car, and she wasn't about to. Grandpa rubbed his hands together and chuckled. Son, looks like it's time for creative problem solving. I fetched my tractor with a front loader attachment and backed up to the Porsche. I wasn't about to damage it, well, not seriously, but I intended to send a very clear message about trespassing. With the tractor's hydraulics, I gently nudged the Porsche off the gravel and onto a flatbed trailer I had positioned nearby. Karen's car didn't budge on its own, so I secured it carefully, ensuring no scratches or dents would occur, though she'd probably claim a scratch if one appeared anyway. The plan? Tow it to the pasture and leave it there until she realized she had to negotiate to get it back. By mid-morning, I was rolling across the field, tractor slowly pulling the Porsche. The cows scattered in all directions, mooing loudly, and some even followed out of curiosity. It was a scene of pastoral chaos. A red Porsche on a trailer, a tractor pulling it across a green pasture, and cows circling like they were inspecting a new member of the herd. Karen arrived shortly after, screaming from the road. What are you doing? That's my car. You can't. I stopped the tractor and looked at her calmly. Karen, your car is on my property. You refused to move it. You refused to answer calls. Consider this a temporary relocation until you learn some boundaries. She ran toward the pasture, waving her arms, clearly expecting me to stop. But stopping wasn't on my agenda. Instead, I gently lowered the trailer's ramp, letting the Porsche sit firmly on the grass, surrounded by curious cows sniffing and nudging the tires. By now, a few neighbors had gathered at the fence, watching Karen flail helplessly. Some were recording video, smirking as she tried to storm onto the pasture. Call the cops! Call the cops! She screamed. I laughed. Go ahead. Tell them you parked in someone's cow pasture without permission. Let me know how that goes. The sheriff was called shortly after, mostly by amused neighbors, and arrived within 15 minutes. Karen tried to explain, pointing at the Porsche. It's mine. It's in my right. The sheriff shook his head. Ma'am, this is private property. He's not touching your car. He's ensuring it doesn't interfere with farm operations. You're trespassing, and your threats are documented. Have a nice day. Karen had no comeback. She turned bright red, stomped off toward the road, and drove away, muttering threats that nobody could hear over the cows' collective mooing. By noon, the Porsche was still in the pasture, surrounded by gentle, curious cows. Grandpa patted me on the back. Son, sometimes the best lessons aren't learned in court. They're learned when someone realizes your patience has limits. Karen never tried to park on my property again. Every time she drove past, she kept her distance, eyeing the pasture with a wary glance. And I enjoyed watching the cows inspect the Porsche like it was a strange, exotic animal in their midst. Lesson learned: trespass on a ranch, and the rancher has both creativity and authority to reclaim order. Karen's ego was bruised, her car safe but relocated, and I finally had peace. At least until the next HOA stunt.